Psalm 1. Happy are those who reject the advice of evil people, who do not follow the example of sinners, or who join those who have no use for God. Instead, they find joy in obeying the law of the Lord, and they study it day and night. They are like trees that grow beside a stream, that bear fruit at the right time, and whose leaves do not dry up. They succeed in everything they do. Welcome to the opening song in Israel's Psalter, reading from the Good News translation. No one knows who wrote this song, but it became a national hit and was selected even in ancient time as the opening text in their collection of songs about life, about God and the world. It begins with a most positive word describing the truly happy or blessed person. It conveys a strong sense of enviable privilege. Oh, the joy of being blessed like this. But immediately after setting that uplifting tone comes a dire warning about how vulnerable this happy state is because of the power of negative social influence that functions like a moral contagion. Talk about ancient truth being relevant for today's world. Just as hand hygiene and social distancing are keys to surviving in a pandemic world, this text says, pay attention to who is influencing the way you think and live. We rub off on each other. So be careful who you hang with, because for certain they are shaping your attitude and your outlook. Even in physical isolation, social media can be a poison stream. But there is a better way. The psalm says that healthy people who are influenced by a story outside of themselves are not at the mercy of other people's approval. They find their guidance and inspiration in the Torah. Torah can mean the Hebrew scriptures, but more broadly it means the whole story of God. This is the larger backstory of the Bible, an overarching narrative of blessing. From the creation, when God blessed the world and all its creatures, to the call of Abraham, whose mission was to bring blessing to the entire world. This story of God's love and commitment to us is a story to meditate on, to graze your minds on, to think about and let it influence your attitudes and actions, how you relate to God and to people. People who do this, the song says, will be like trees growing by a stream, whose roots go down deep, allowing them to flourish even in times of drought. When life gets dry, they remain vibrant, alive, and productive. This is the path of human flourishing. And then the song takes an abrupt 180 to follow those who pursue their own path apart from God. They become rootless, like tumbleweed blowing in the wind. Instead of flourishing, their lives shrink in upon themselves. Their goals will ultimately disappoint, and they're defenseless when life's most severe tests come along. The final line in the song is about two paths. One path leads to life, and the other to disaster. God is the companion of those who take the high road. Not just a passive companion, God is attentive, watching over the way of the righteous. In ancient times, this was a distinctively Jewish sentiment about God. God was not remote or indifferent, but passionate about our well-being. We are not alone. Hundreds of years later, Jesus turned this song into a parable. The two pathways in the song became two carpenters building their dream home. One house survives wind and storms, the other collapse. We're all building a life, Jesus said. Whose blueprint are you following? Follow me, he said, and you will find the best life possible. Meanwhile, we have a pandemic to reckon with, washing our hands and protecting one another. Let me finish with a prayer by American author Brian McLaren. It's called A Prayer While Washing Your Hands. God of healing and well-being, as I wash my hands, I ask you to cleanse me of other invisible viruses of the soul. Fear, hate, pride, greed, lust, hostility, supremacy and superiority, selfish interest, and all constriction of the heart. As I join billions of others in this practice, help me feel how deeply we are all connected and equally, infinitely loved by you. God bless you. I pray that you will keep well.